It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes. So let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name's Mike.
And this week, we're celebrating 500 Superhero Slate episodes. Mike, 500.
Oh my gosh. It sneaks up on you, and then you realize, how do you celebrate 500 episodes? And you just think, all the wasted Sundays. Chris, what could we have done? What could we have done to be more productive rather than sitting down and recording this for 10 years?
10 years, hour to an hour and a half episodes. We actually have a lot more if we include the review episodes that weren't numbered technically. So we're probably closer to 575, 600, but it's still been fun. We're coming up not only just 500, that means on January 1st will be 10 years. 10 years of this whole show, Mike. And, we could have learned a new skill, probably had a second job or something. I don't know.
We could have just invested in the stock market and just over 10 years just gained a gradual, impressive just return and, go on vacation. Yeah, but instead, here in my bedroom in front of a microphone.
Yeah, that's right. Same thing. Going into Google Docs, doing the same thing. Literally, we have the same intro we've had since episode 1, I'm pretty sure, here at the beginning of the show. And I've copied and pasted that same intro every week since then. But we've gone through how many houses, how many towns we both. Well, you were already married. I've gotten married. Different houses, all this other fun stuff. So it's fun.
No, I don't think I was married. I don't think I was married yet.
No, you were.
Wait,
you were.
Wait, was I?
Yep, you were.
Well, wait, hold on. I'm glad my wife is downstairs and not listening through the door. Because we just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary.
In 2014, and we started the podcast in 2015.
Oh, wow. For some reason, I feel like we started it right out of college.
Yeah.
But I guess it was a couple of years until we started it.
No, it's been fun. So thank you, Mike, for showing up most Sundays. Not last Sunday. To hell with you. No, I'm kidding. No, we had Superfan Jim step in last minute on Monday night there. You had some plane problems, not your fault. We were going to record, but
aircraft delays. I did get to fly back because we had to switch planes and switch terminals, which is a big headache, and it's extra annoying when the flight is only 2 hours, and it's like it shouldn't be this much work for a 2-hour flight. Yeah. But we had one of the planes that was vinyl wrapped in Toontown for Disneyland. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Is this plane just going to land in Anaheim? I would love to just step right off in front of Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Because when you get on those, that breaks down every time, Mike. So please do not get on the Runaway Railway.
But I wish if they could do, I wish they could do just a little something on the inside of the planes too, because I only knew because the way our terminal was, arranged with the windows, we could just kind of barely see the plane. We could see a back half of it. I was like, I wish when they do branding on the outside, bring it to the inside of the plane, just a tiny bit. I don't know what it is, if it's just some stickers that you throw up on the wall. Put Chip and Dale in the bathrooms. I don't know.
I think there's an awful great opportunity here because when we came out to you, we all the safety videos and security videos, they were not the flight attendants doing it anymore. It was videos you watched, right, or listened to. Mm-hmm. So could they have voiceovers of the characters? Could they have some little animated safety videos to kind of just
would be great.
Couple down with it? Because I think there's small opportunities, small wins like that. Are they providing an extra snack that's Toon themed? Get the Biscoffs, but it's Mickey Mouse Biscoffs.
Yes, but so I was unfortunately I missed episode 499, but I was glad a long time fan of the show, Jim, was able to step in and fill in. Feels pretty ceremonial. He kind of set up the 500th episode so I can step back into my boots and knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
but I feel like I should just let the air out of the tires right away. And in typical Superhero Slate fashion, we are celebrating a mammoth 500 episodes by not really doing that much different. Chris has a little bit, of a
Right.
fun thing that we're gonna do at the top of the show. But I mean, I feel like we recall like a few weeks ago we're like, oh yeah, we're coming up on 500 episodes. Should we do something? And we're like, oh, what do we do? Like,
What do we do? Yeah.
if anything, getting to 500 episodes requires an absolute dedication to repeatability, consistency. So throwing new fancy things into the show, like some sort of special segment, that's not how you get to 500 episodes.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in tune with the show of just like talking about the news again.
Wait, what's working? What has worked for 10 years? It's this. It's exactly this. And I think one of the cool things is, we're now live on YouTube when we record. That's been the past year. I think that's awesome. So if you are listening to us on delay, you can usually subscribe to our YouTube channel and get a notification when we're live on YouTube, because this show is live. We that is a dedication to our craft. Like, how little do we edit this show at the end of the day, right? We give you the news and you get us, who we are. So it's fun. But it's straight news. So I'm going to jump into the main topics here. We're going to talk about Fantastic Four's Galactus connection at the top here. They gave us a new synopsis. Denzel Washington is going to be in Black Panther 3, a movie that hasn't even been announced yet, Mike. That's the fun part of this. Since he's out doing the rounds for Gladiator 2, I think is out now, so people are watching that. And the What If voice cast has been announced. The returning cast, I guess, the MCU, the people in the MCU who are coming back. And more at this. But I want to say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of wish our 500th episode would have landed last week when we had a whole like D23 recap and some fun news and trailers. Yeah. So this is like where we really flex our podcasting skills of like, we got some news this week for sure we're going to talk about, but as I scroll through this document, half of it is just a list of actors' names.
I had real high hopes early on this week. I'm like, all right, this is great. This is going to be some good news. I'm just going to put all these names in here for SEO value, all these actors' names. And that's about it. That was the last bit of news I was able to add, because it's been a light week. It's coming up on the holidays, right? We, one of the big things we're anticipating, and we just don't have it in here, is the Superman trailer, right? At the turn of the new year. Marvel shows are wrapped up until December. The only movie on the horizon I have, Mike, that it's not a good thing, is Kraven the Hunter. That would be relevant to the show.
I keep forgetting about that. I saw like a headline that was like, "Oh, Kraven the Hunter it expects to make like." It was something crazy, like $200 million. I was like, no, that's not happening. I don't know.
With what marketing? There's no trailer. They didn't even put a trailer in front of Venom, Mike. And like, that's the most disappointing. Like, literally, you should be hyping this up because it is Sony's first R-rated foray. I've heard it's very hyper-violent. And that's probably about the biggest, green flag for me. I'm like, I want to see what kind of violence they're bringing to this. They've got Russell Crowe on the cusp of Gladiator 2's out. He's known for Gladiator, and instead of being in Gladiator 2, he's in Kraven within a month later. So there's a lot of opportunities to play off this, but I'm not feeling it. I don't think they have any faith in it, and that's fine.
We could be surprised without getting into specifics of what has been going on in the world. I don't want to say there's been a lot of underdog stories, but there's been a lot of shocking revelations in the last couple of weeks of things that we thought were going to happen and didn't happen.
Like the Venom movie making a lot of money. Venom making a lot of money, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Explicitly only Venom. So who knows? Maybe Kraven comes out. Maybe Kraven pulls off a Penguin. I am shocked that Penguin has been going on for weeks and weeks now. I only keep hearing more and more things about it, how amazing it is. I now see people on social media like rediscovering the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. They either never watched it when it came out a couple years ago, or maybe they're still trying to survive a little bit of a pandemic, so they never got around to it. But people are like, oh yeah, the movie's really good. The Penguin's great. Everything's awesome. I was not expecting that from the Penguin. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Kraven turns the whole ship around. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have the
ship
Poly
around?
Market app on my phone.
What ship? There's no ship.
The raft on sticks is barely surviving the storm. I'm just glad I'm not a betting man, because I would have lost so many bets in the last month.
Right. Well, speaking of bets, on Friday night we both I subscribed to Netflix for the first time in over a decade, the ad-free tier, to watch this Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. We had some people over. We put it on. And I tell you what, they must be running those Netflix servers through a potato, because you had so much lag that 30 minutes later it finally reached my end of the nation of people trying to watch this fight.
I have to say that might have been user error, but I think it's fine to blame Netflix because I don't use their live streaming feature all that much, and when I do, I think the last time I streamed something live, it was when John Mulaney was doing his like late night limited edition like sketch or like comedy show, which that ain't breaking any servers. It was popular, not breaking any servers. So it never paused. I never had to like go back out and go back in to try to like rebuffer it. But apparently if you like crash out or you pause or something, it stays on that spot. And then when you go back into it, it just picks up from where you left off. You have to actually like go into the UI and press up. And there's like a button that says
back,
like watch live.
Yeah.
But it's really confusing because there's like a watermark on the feed in the corner that says live. Yeah. So I'm just like, this particular lead up fight ended 15 minutes ago because I see the result on Instagram, but then I look on Netflix, like it's still going on. Like, oh, they're in like round 8.
Yeah.
So it was confusing for me.
It started off fine, and then it just got worse as more people tuned in, right? Like, obviously, the more stress you put on the servers, technology, it'll fail. But, knowing that Netflix is leaning into live television, they are the home of WWF Raw, I think, next year. They're going to be doing some Christmas Day sports ball game live events. And, I don't know if the numbers will be like this fight thing was, because I don't care about fights. It was just more fun to watch it and see what was going on. They couldn't handle it. But then we get to the fight, and it was the most boring thing I've ever seen, Mike. Like, I honestly think I would have rather watched the buffering screen more than the fight going on for some of this.
This is where I think we have to disclose that me and Chris are the furthest removed from just professional sports in general.
Absolutely.
But I think we both just like fanfare, though. I think we like to just be within the zeitgeist, and we want to be a part of the conversation, even though if we don't know what we're talking about. This was the first ever like night of boxing I'd ever witnessed myself. I've seen like maybe clips of fights or maybe longer bouts, pop up on, who knows? I don't even know if they're allowed to put stuff up on YouTube anymore, because I know like sporting events are so locked down that they don't even like share it widely. And historically, boxing matches have always been like pay-per-view. And like I've never been within a group of friends or at a bar that like does like pay-per-view.
Did not go out of my way to watch any other fights other than this. Maybe WWF when I was like 12 years old. But
like leading up to it, I was like, well, this is great. I hate Jake Paul. He's like just he accurately describes himself as like the problem child. And it's like, well, I guess I unfortunately have to agree with the man. Yeah. Like if I can watch him get punched in the face and all I have to do is hit a couple buttons on my Roku remote and it costs me nothing technically, it's like I'll give it a shot. And it was nice, hopping in the group chat with you guys, trying to figure this out. It was just interesting being exposed to boxing in general. Yeah. Like if you kind of remove the barbaric nature away from it, I think it's like an interesting sport. I was kind of like picking it apart, like the gamesmanship part of it. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know that they get a little bell that tells them like 10 seconds before the round is over, and that's kind of like the time to look out for them kind of doing like little like last minute moves but just before the round ends.
Like, get your extra points in. Combos.
I was like, there's a lot of strategy here to getting punched in the face, which I appreciated. But then of course there was the whole like storm around like, Mike Tyson, one of the greatest boxers of all time, coming back into the ring, but he's like basically a senior citizen, and like Jake Paul is just like the most punchable personality and face on the planet. So, but I agree with you, Chris. It was the most boring fight of the night. Any of the other fights were actually pretty fun to watch. Yeah,
there was one that was, I think it was the second one. One guy was wearing these pink shiny pants with feathers, and I was like, all right, we're rooting for that. The women's fight, I think, was the most brutal. They were really jabbing each other. There were a lot of punches thrown. Yeah. One lady got cut in the face with an accidental headbutt. Even like I guess the manager of the one who lost got on and like had like threw a tantrum on the microphone afterwards, and was like, it's not fair and all this other stuff. So
I am absolutely obsessed when they go back to their corners. The little like just on-hand medics, or I don't even know what they call them.
Yeah.
I think I saw like a lower
The cutters.
third that
Is it
had,
cutters?
Like, the cutters. Yeah, that's their name. I was like, that is like the craziest job ever, because they have like mere seconds to patch up just like a mashed potato face as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And the only other exposure I have to that was like back in high school. With some of my friends, we used to play like I think it was maybe on the 360
It was
or something.
Fight Night. It was Fight Night on 360.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you got to be the guy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I don't want to box, but hand me the controller when I get to
Yeah.
like rub the cold compress above your eye.
Yep. Yep.
So I find that fascinating, of just like, okay, we gotta fix this human as fast as possible so they can get back in there and punch.
Well, they're there and they had those cotton swabs up their nose. I'm like, are they giving them quick COVID tests? Like, what's it kind of look like in the middle of this? That one girl, like, they kept like, like Vaseline on her eye to keep it from bleeding because loses visibility and all this other stuff. But it was, really, the longer the fights got, the more like, I don't recognize this person when they came in from the ring, and now they're all swollen to hell. It was fun to watch that.
It was kind of crazy to see the sponsorships of the night too, and I guess this is where they get their money's worth, because I'm about to talk about them.
Yep.
But like the MetaQuest was like the sponsor on
Top
one
rope.
of the on the ropes, and then Celsius, a drink that I think you drink as well, Chris. Maybe not
Occasionally,
often.
yeah.
But they were the sponsor like of the middle of the ring, and then when
Experian.
one of the boxers won, they that was the other one. They were drinking a Celsius as they were getting their hand raised. I was like, oh, this is funny. I feel like the last time I experienced boxing, like the sponsors were a totally different category of companies.
Nike,
So,
and Coke, and Pepsi.
But
No,
I think from a technological and media point of view, it's interesting to see that, like, I mean, it worked, Chris.
Yeah.
You were not a subscriber, and you subscribed. Now, it might only last a month, but now at least they have a chance to try to get you to stick around. Like, they're going to throw some new stuff at you over the next 4 weeks to see if anything keeps you to stick around past that 1 month subscription. I know you're not the typical user.
Yeah,
you have
right.
your own ways to acquire entertainment, but
Right.
there are plenty of other people out in the world.
Yeah,
that
right.
got a subscription
Exactly.
just for fight.
This was a great promotional thing. It's all marketing expense for this, right? Like, people are tuning. They're talking about it. Even if it's crashing, Netflix is trending on Twitter, right? Like, literally, Netflix is everywhere. It's in every news article across anything. It was in the comic book news. It was on the financial news. It's on the gadget news that I subscribe to. It's everywhere, and that's what they want.
Was your stream stable by the time it came to the main event?
It was stable, but it was blurry. Like, the quality would come in and out. It would be like 200p and then 1080p, and 200p and 1080p.
Yeah, I think mine was kind of similar, and I'm just curious, like that. And they had the most eyeballs, I'm sure, once that main event happened. So I was surprised that it never buffered for me during any of the rounds. So I'm like, what happened? Like, what are they doing on the back end? When it started, like, crashing at the beginning of the night, did they just send a bunch of engineers out to any Best Buy that was open and bought every computer that they could find and just start like plugging anything in?
My guess is they probably got like an Amazon or like a Microsoft Azure server, wherever they're feeding the feeds to. They were like probably had those engineers on both teams on standby. Like, how can we get more bandwidth? How can we open this up? Reduce the stream quality when it's full rather than cut it off, right? Because I don't think that's an option on Netflix. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. You don't say variable quality like you do on YouTube, like auto quality.
Yeah.
I think it just does it automatically.
Yeah, maybe there's like a secret setting if you go to like to the website and log in and change some preferences. But no, it's been pretty much set.
Yeah. And
user friendly,
Yeah, so I think it was that, but like, it got through there. I did use it to yesterday because my friend and listener show Patrick and his wife came in and visited us for this weekend, and it was a good time to have them around. And we did not watch the Great British Baking Show this week because they watched it as well, so we got to watch it together. And since it was past Friday, I was able to watch it on Netflix yesterday rather than the other ways I would watch it on a Tuesday. So I do have the two Netflix shows I do watch ready to go there. So one was boxing, one was a Great British Baking Show. So that they did get two streams out of me, Mike, so far. But I'm gonna forget I even have Netflix within like 3 days because I'm gonna go back to that. But other than I'm gonna keep talking about Patrick because Patrick, you've met Patrick. He was in my wedding. I've known Patrick about as long as I've known, as long as I've been in college, my freshman year. So coming up on 20 years next year, And one of the things, Patrick, you people who listen to the show may have caught him on some bonus episodes when we did Gen Con, our board game coverage bonus episodes earlier this year. And I love playing board games with Patrick, and he's the expert. He knows all the different kinds of things and rules, and I love playing with him. And several years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, Mike, I got into a game called Marvel United. It was Kickstarter by a company called Simon, and they it's got a very unique art style, and that's why I always remember Mike talking about the art style of the characters, because you're like, I don't care about the game, I want to look at these characters. How are they taking Marvel characters and transforming them into this one unique art style? And the original game came out, I think it finally got shipped in 2021. Because we just moved in this house, and then the next year they did an X-Men expansion, Mike, with a bunch of X-Men characters, right? Because there's so many X-Men characters they could do with that. And then this year they did last year, but then shipped this year, and I have it as the multiverse expansion, where they started like going down like characters who don't fit Avengers or X-Men. Like, there's a World War Hulk box, which is cool for me because I finally got the Sentry to play as, or an Inhumans box, which is full of Inhumans characters, or they did a Galactus set. Finally, so you have Galactus as a big piece in the middle, and you fight like his little 4 heralds that aren't the Silver Surfer, and that was really cool. So we got that in, and the cool thing about this is there's hundreds of characters, Mike. You've seen it, right? Like, you probably looked it up and saw how many different characters there are now in this, heroes and villains.
And if you are unaware and never played the game like me, but have Googled it and had a friend that have talked to you about it for a while. The characters are like cool little figurines. They're not just like printed on like a little cardboard token. They're like cool little 3D prints, or at least they're probably not 3D prints anymore. I think when they were kickstarting them back in the day, when
they're definitely like molds or like resin print.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, yeah.
And then when I was doing some research, I think there's like people on Etsy that you can send them to, and they'll paint them.
I have a friend of Patrick of mine, Adam. He's painted every one of his. He is a model painter of like Warhammer proportions. So for that. But yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were going to keep going on talking about the models there.
No, they're just really cool figures. I love excuses to have just little pieces of figurines, because my brain doesn't allow me to have things that aren't functional in some way. So like if somebody wants to gift me like some fun pop culture art or something, like weirdly enough, it has to be like on something that I could theoretically use, like a mug, even though I don't drink coffee, but at least the mug is kind of like supplying the art. I can kind of set it somewhere. So this is even better because it exists within a board game and you can play with them.
Yes. So hundreds of pieces, probably 1,000 pieces, and make 100 villains, and all these game boards, and every villain has their own way to play, and every hero has their own deck of cards. So there's all these pieces, plastic and cards. And there's no real campaign to this game. Like you pick the characters you want to play as, you pick the villain you want to play as, and that's kind of how you do it. Well, with that many characters, it can get overwhelming. Honestly, you have paralyzed by choice, right? Like, who do I want to play as? Who's cool when you have them all? So someone on Board Game Geek, which is a website that keeps tabs of all this board game stuff, has created what's called a multiversal campaign. And they essentially said, okay, here are all the heroes, here are the villains, here's a rule book. You get to start as either the Avengers or the X-Men, and you follow the paths, and you defeat the villains, and then you can unlock resources to buy more characters along the way. And it gives you something to do with all these pieces of plastic and cards you have, right? Rather than just sit and look at them like, I don't know which ones. This is too many. And so Patrick and I have been doing this, but we live almost 4 hours apart. So we have been using a program called Tabletop Simulator. Are you familiar with that program on Steam, Mike?
No, but I feel like I can pretty much guess where you're going here, where it's kind of like when you're doing like a remote kind of like chess game, it's just something keeping track of the pieces for you.
Exactly. So someone has created a mod for this, which brings in all the pieces and cards, and the setup is scripted. So you choose your villain, you choose your locations, and it sets up the board for you, and then you still move your characters around with the mouse. So you pick your characters and cards, and you get to do all that stuff. So yeah, it's essentially an empty table, and people can create some scripts to automate some of the stuff. It's not the full game. It doesn't play for you. You still have to move everything, but it's really fun to do. And me and Patrick have been going through Marvel United's campaign, playing by all the rules provided, unlocking characters and beating villains. So like when you lose, so we have like 33 characters unlocked right now, but like if you lose with a character, like they're marked off the list and you don't get to use them again, unless you come across a space on this big, huge board that says you can revive a character who's been removed. So like you got to play strategic, right, and unlock characters you want to play as, and like who works together. Like we unlocked Star-Lord and Gamora. Well, Gamora doesn't work with anyone who doesn't give her tokens. Star-Lord gives tokens, so you want to use them together. If I use Gamora with, say, Adam Warlock, who doesn't give any tokens, he's just fighting for himself, she's actually kind of useless. So you got to plan ahead who you're going to use, as we've been playing this 2-player. So it's been really fun. I just think, Marvel United is out in stores, normal stores. You can buy the base sets. They have a Spider-Geddon set, which is like more of a Miles Morales, the X-Men set, the Multiverse set. They're releasing a Scarlet Witch and Agatha set coming out here in the next month or two, that uses Scarlet Witch as the villain rather than a hero, and Agatha as a hero and villain. So it's been really, really fun to play that. And to celebrate 500 episodes, I actually have a in-box Marvel United starter kit and the Spider-Man with Green Goblin expansion, Mike, that I'm going to give away to someone who interacts with the show over the next week or so. And for people who are interested, I'm actually going to time code this. I'm going to time code the giveaway so people know the rules here. If you just go and comment or share our posts on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our YouTube channel, interact with those posts. I think those are the best way. Or email us, superheroslate@gmail.com. Email us something you like about the show or want to see on the show, something if we can try the best we can to implement it. I just want you guys to interact with us. You interact with us, I will mail you the winner this Marvel United starter set and the Spider-Man Green Goblin expansion. And that's what I'm going to do to celebrate 500 episodes.
Yes, I believe this is the, by definition, engagement bait.
Yes.
We are baiting you to engage with the show, and Chris will reward you with the possibility of getting this awesome game.
Yes, the starter kit is fantastic. They actually, I'm selling it short. They just did DC United. The Kickstarter ended about a month or two ago of it, and so literally the core of the United gameplay is you play a card that has symbols on it: punch, move, or a star, which is like save a civilian or move a threat. And then the next card, you got to use the symbols on the card before you and your symbols. So it's very teamwork based, right? Like you're not versus each other. You're defeating the villain, and you got to use the symbols beforehand. So you got to be very strategic, talk about it as you move. Well, with DC United coming out, it's the same core set. So if you actually got the DC core set down the road, you could have your own little fun multiversal, but like DC and Marvel heroes playing together in the same sets because the core values are still the same, right? How you play, the symbols, the board setup. It's really cool, and I think that's gonna be fun when DC United, I guess, starts hitting shores. I didn't back it. I like my Marvel stuff. My wife would kill me if I took another shelf of Marvel, a United game and did something with it. So, gotta play that safe, but I think it's a really cool game, and I want to give it to somebody because I have this extra set that's never been opened. I would love to give it to somebody and let them kind of have a good time with it. Anything else, Mike? Before we jump into the news, because I think this is a hell of a start to the news week here. Actually,
yes. Any other way to wax poetically about 500 episodes is what you're truly asking me.
Yeah,
and I think I may be out of wax.
Okay.
Maybe I'll find some throughout the episode.
Well, as this movie would say, Mike, LFG, let's fucking go. Deadpool Wolverine, now streaming on Disney Plus.
Ironically, though, in the Disney Plus trailer, they don't say it. They say the TV edited version of the line, I think, which is just like let's go.
Yeah, they edited it down.
Which is funny because I like to imagine, because Hugh Jackman, he's like down in that balled up, like I'm ready to lunge position. Yeah. And they're like, okay, Hugh, we need you to say, let's fucking go. Let's get about 8 line reads. And then let's get the Disney Plus promo of just let's go. And I want to be there on a fly on the wall just to watch him do that a couple times.
They probably did that a few times. Well, there's also another that we talked a couple weeks ago about Deadpool with Blind Down. There's a promo of him sitting on the couch with the Wolverine popcorn bucket. And Blind Owl reaches into the popcorn bucket, which is Wolverine's mouth, and it's very implied to be very raunchy. And he's like, Deadpool and Wolverine now streaming on Disney Plus. So that's great news. There's I've seen a lot of some deleted scenes, like where Deadpool's making fun of Thor's I think hair extensions. I think at one point as well. So it's been fun. I'm a ham head. This movie's out. I have it, like I said, on on disc and the code to stream with movies anywhere, Mike. But this is a highlight of a Marvel year right here. We've had some really good shows, really good movie, right? So
even though this movie hit the $1 billion club, a lot of people have seen it. Not everyone has seen it yet, because last weekend when we were visiting family, we were in their kitchen and I was looking at their like just family calendar on the refrigerator, and they had in like bold Sharpie on the Tuesday that this was available, Deadpool Wolverine on Disney Plus. So I asked them about it. I was like, I see you guys were so excited. You wrote it down on the calendar, and they have like a 3.5-year-old and like an 8-month-old. So like them going to the movies is like not a thing that they get to do. So like this is what they were waiting for. They were waiting for the Disney Plus release, and they're like, oh yeah, we're getting ready. We're gonna watch it when the kids like are in daycare. This like they're so excited for it, and even before I could even talk about the movie, which I would absolutely never spoil it for anybody, they were like, no, don't spoil it. They have somehow been able to go this long. So I was like, good for you guys. I hope, I don't know if they've watched it just yet, but I was like, I'm happy for them. Just to write it down manually on a calendar, on a real calendar on a refrigerator is just, I love that so much.
That's dedication, right? We are. I like to think, we are not the normal. We are the exception to the rules of people who actually experience the content that we talk about every week for 10 years. So like, it's fun to hear like how people who aren't, in this every day, who, have things going on, how do they, what do they look forward to? What do they get excited for? Are the things on Disney Plus technically bigger and better, for them, because they haven't seen it yet, or they're getting the most out of that subscription, and we're like watching it the opening Thursday of in theaters. So that's cool to hear that. But it's on streaming on Disney Plus. That's great. Just turn it on. I 100% think in a week and a half this will 100% be on in my family's house during Thanksgiving. They like to watch like John Wick movies or the latest action movies that's been on streaming in the past like 6 months. So I'm gonna guess it's Deadpool and Wolverine this year when I'm at my family's for Thanksgiving. Moving on. Mike, this. I have a lot of classic classic Marvel movies on a faux live streaming channel in my house. Right. The other day I caught the original Fantastic Four movie, like a good 45 minutes of it, because it was on while I was testing some stuff, and I was like, I'll just watch this. But I always forget to watch that those came out and how long ago since I've watched it. But the new Fantastic Four movie coming out next year has my jimmies rustled in a good way, Mike. I'm so hyped for this movie, and we've talked about it. You didn't. I sent you. We didn't talk about it because you weren't here, but I sent you the leaked trailer from D23 Brazil, and they have the Fantastic Four has their own music, their own song. We get to see Galactus and the spacesuits and the ships, and it's just so awesome. But post D23. Marvel has come out and they've given us an official synopsis for Fantastic Four 2025. It's called First Steps, and it reveals the Silver Surfer actors. So I'm just going to read through this real quick, kind of do the speed read. Set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s inspired retro-futuristic world, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps introduces Marvel's first family: Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, Johnny Storm, Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, the Thing, as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic Herald, Silver Surfer. And if Galactus planned to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. So, number one, obviously, we've talked about this before. This can probably be, they're already going to have their powers. We might get some small flashbacks from whenever they went to space and got them. So I don't think we're going to get an intro. We had this bad rumor from LinkedIn the other day that was like, oh, they're going to change the name to First Contact. Well, it's still First Steps here. They've announced that again out loud.
Like I've been seeing a lot of chatter about like these synopsises and what the movie is going to be about. And I don't know if this is a rumor or if like some actor was on like a red carpet somewhere and was saying things. I don't know where this came from, but I saw it in multiple areas. So maybe you can vet it for me. Maybe you heard it as well. But I was kind of fascinated by the angle because I'd never thought about this before, because we kept thinking about the Fantastic Four as these beings or these characters that exist in another universe, and at some point in like the third act, at the end of the movie or something, they would be thrown into the sacred timeline, our normal main MCU universe, and they would be kind of like fishes out of water, but they would be helping, like, save the multiverse at the end of the day, right? But I am seeing things where now it's the opposite way, where possibly the event which gave them their powers, whether it's in space or a lab experiment, whatever happened, kind of thrusts them into a different universe. So we are seeing them trying to make the best out of this retro 60s universe that they're basically stuck in, and they're trying to find a way to get back to our normal MCU timeline. And then to add a little bit more seasoning to this rumor, it's that Galactus is, like, I guess, dying or is waning in power, and his motivation is to get into the sacred timeline or something. I don't know if he's going to eat it or what's going on there. So I don't know. I don't know if this is just all conjecture, if it's a rumor, if there's any merit to it. But it did sound very interesting, only because I've never thought about it the other way around. Yeah. I thought these were 1960s characters that were going to be thrown into our world. But it's like, no, they're trapped in the 1960s, and they're trying to get back. And I was like, if that's the case, I think that's really clever.
Yeah, no, I've not heard this at all. And I scour the darkest corners of the internet for probably more
I've
rumors
seen
and
it a
spoilers.
few different. I've seen it a few different places. So
yeah, no,
I don't know. Maybe you've just been the algorithms have decided we see different things this week.
I mean, I've shown you how many bad Thunderbolts rumors I've seen, right? Like I've shared those with you pretty frequently. So the internet is a very weird place right now with rumors and obviously AI generated images and stuff like that. But I've not heard that yet. I mean, obviously anything could go. We don't know anything about this. So the one thing I'm gonna go with this is a ravenous space god, which is the first time we've heard Galactus called that, right? That's an interesting title. It's not just like, oh, he's just out eating planets. He's a ravenous space god. So I'm gonna, hopefully that's pretty excited. And then he wants to devour the entire planet. That's confirmed. That's what Galactus does. He eats planets, but it gets very personal. So the personal link is, I've heard a lot of rumors that Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue, is we've heard that the baby will probably be involved in this. So is it a baby? Franklin Richards, does he want him to be the new Herald of Galactus? Does he have powers that Galactus can use to cross the multiverse as well? I don't know. In the comic books, this is kind of based on the Earth X, which has the Shala Ball, Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner. It's that Franklin Richards literally was the replacement for Galactus in Earth X. Like he went to the High Evolutionary, which we met in Guardians 3, who was probably not a part of this, and was like, hey, I need to be Galactus to restore balance to the universe. In the regular Marvel universe, there's a future where actually Franklin's so powerful, Galactus becomes his herald, the herald of Franklin Richards kind of thing. So he's a very, very powerful character in this. And I'm like, well, what makes it personal? Like, is it, what is the personal connection? Is it the child? Is it the family connection? Like, what are they going to pull out of this and make unique to tell this story? Because they could have easily, Mike, and this based on your rumors, put this in Marvel today and be like, all right, well, we're going to create the Fantastic Four now in this universe, and they're going to be MCU based. But they've instead gone into a 1960s inspired retro-futuristic world where there don't seem to be other superheroes but the Fantastic Four. So what angle is that? Is it just the visual angle? Is it the story angle? What are they going to do with that? Because I think regardless of what it is, even if we predict it, I don't know if either of us are right, or probably maybe a mixture of both, is that it's going to be a fun time to watch, right? Like even the trailer I sent you was like, I'm like, oh, this is so energetic.
Yeah, this movie is incredibly pivotal for the MCU going forward. It kind of is like a little bit uncomfortable with how much story is being placed on this movie, because we've already heard, it's heavily implied that we're gonna see I want to say Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.
Dr. Doom,
before Doomsday, which makes sense. He's probably going to be in this Fantastic Four movie in some way, right? This is going to be setting up like big multiversal, battle world stuff. I think a lot is going to be set up within this movie, and it's just a fun, very unique world that we're going to get to see aesthetically. And yeah, I'm very, very hyped for this. Obviously, we are excited for Thunderbolts because I think there's some characters in there that we were really excited to see for the first time, and the trailers look really cool. I'm so excited to see just a real like kind of Bucky Winter Soldier, at least in some facet. There was like an extended clip, right?
Yeah, we talked about the
D23.
special last week, and then shared it with you because like they're just so fun.
Rad.
Yeah, like the character, like the dynamics of that team as well are going to be awesome to see on screen.
Yeah, but I feel like people that are still stayed around and been invested within the MCU are waiting for some multiversal payoff. Where as of right now, it's just been nothing but setup. So I feel like maybe we're going to start to get a little bit of payoff in this Fantastic Four movie. But yeah, next year, so excited for this movie.
Yeah, it comes out within the same month as Superman. So, obviously we're going to have a really, really interesting month of reboots of movies we've seen before, right, that have not really delivered, or characters we've seen before that have not delivered. So I'm excited for that. But if you guys have any ideas on what that personal connection is with Galactus and the Richards family / Fantastic Four, do use that as your interaction for your entry for the Marvel United giveaway. Before we get into this, I'm gonna take a drink, Mike. I've got a celebration drink with me today. It's a Betty Booze. Are you familiar with Betty Booze brand drinks?
Absolutely not. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively's company of mixed drinks. This is a sparkling bourbon with peach honey mint drink down here. So celebrating 500 with a pairing of drinks. Not like the Whopper pairing that's going on right now. But that's not for this show. That's for a special show. But Avengers Doomsday, I'm excited for Avengers Doomsday, Mike. Right? We haven't had an Avengers movie in forever. We're overdue for one. We have one coming up, and the rumor coming forward is a pretty strong rumor out of D23 or after D23 is that Wanda, we talked about, will be part of this with Doom. She'll be paired with Doctor Doom, but not in a romantic way, unlike some of the comic books that kind of were after House of M, where she lost her memory and was romantically involved with Doom. So she'll be paired with Doctor Doom, trying to undo the mistakes she made using the Darkhold. So bringing Scarlet Witch back to right her wrongs and kind of do a character redemption arc sounds like what the fans want. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the drama that existed within the TVA. Whatever season of Loki or Deadpool movie that you're watching, where everyone wants to save the world, but they just disagree on how, which I feel like is kind of like a classic villain arc that usually is a pretty good motivation for a movie. So, if we think all timelines and universes should be able to coexist, if we think there should only be one sacred timeline, it's just kind of up for debate. So I could see like that's how like Doctor Doom kind of courts Wanda, of just like, hey, I'm out here trying to do the same thing you are. I'm trying to fix this mess that everyone's done, that you've been involved with. You help me out. Use your magic to keep them out of my way so I can get it done. That was kind of like a classic thing that was even in like its Civil War. It was just like we all want to save the day, but how are we going to do it? So.
Right, and she has like, again, reality manipulation. So if he's looking to warp reality in some way, right, using her magic or using her innate abilities, whatever it is, to maybe in the comic books, there was Secret Wars and Doctor Doom used Doctor Strange as his sheriff of the world he saved. I'm not gonna call it Battle World because Battle World makes it sound like they're fighting the whole time. It's not. It's just a bunch of patchwork pieces of universes. But like, what if instead of they flipped the script, instead of using Doctor Strange, who's a magic user, sheriff of his planet, it's Wanda is the sheriff using her magic to create the reality and hold realities together in hopes that she gets to be with her kids again and have that family that she liked.
Yeah, she obviously has that power that's been demonstrated, so that wouldn't be a stretch for the audience to believe she can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it lines up with kind of WandaVision was her trying to bring back Vision, who was dead, and creating her family. So I think there's some opportunity in there to do that, but we'll see as we get closer to Doomsday. And the other part of a bit of news / rumor, and I don't think this is much rumor, but I assume Avengers Doomsday would be more set up for legacy characters to show up in Secret Wars, but they say that legacy characters will appear in both Avengers films, and such as Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, or possibly, and we'll talk about that later, like maybe they get Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I don't know, like characters that have not been in Marvel for a very long time is kind of what that's leaning into. And the more I kind of thought about it, I'm like, obviously the big stamp of approval Wesley Snipes got returning, right, kind of as his character Blade. Will they bring back Howard the Duck or Dolph Lundgren's Punisher from the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I did see Howard the Duck is free on YouTube if you want to watch the entire movie. They just have it through YouTube Movies. So if you want to watch that thing, if you're interested enough, you can check that out. But I'm excited. I think there's a bunch of opportunities for if Marvel is going to do a soft reboot, go out with a bang here. Yeah, bring back everybody multiversal, get it done, get it out of the way, and we don't have to deal with it anymore, right, going forward. We're only going to focus on what we have and what X-Men stories we want to tell kind of in the future. Moving on to Doctor Strange here. Doctor Strange has been gone apparently 2 years since the end of Multiverse of Madness when we catch up with him in Avengers Doomsday. And he did not tell Wong, and he has left the Sanctum unguarded. So I'm excited to see how that dynamic plays out, right? Like, have we seen, other than, what was it, the Hulk disappeared at the end of Avengers, and we caught up with him in Thor Ragnarok. Who else, what other characters have just disappeared for a prolonged period of time, Mike, in Marvel?
I guess technically just before Infinity War, there was a lot of characters out in the wind. Captain America and his team, his rogue team, were just out there in the shadows, so they'd been gone. It's like a storytelling mechanic that I weirdly like. I like the return of like these big heroic characters. That shot when Cap grabs that spear when it
in the shadows
flies by. It's like it's just so cool. Even though like technically like as an audience he hasn't really been gone except for just the gap and release of movies. It's just cool to know like, oh yeah, they haven't seen him while there he is.
He's got a long hair and beard, and the obvious traits of the character has been gone for a long time. When this hair is grown out, and
I'm curious if we see some interaction between Strange and Spider-Man then, of just like, hey, where have you been? I still live in Brooklyn, haven't come across you at the Sanctum, something like that.
Would he be, does he technically remember Spider-Man after the spell, or was it everybody?
Well, it's funny if you say I think, that's a good question. I have to go back and
I don't remember exactly how that ended.
Check that out. If the Sanctum has been unguarded in a way, I doubt that this has been built into the story at all, but I know that in the trailer for Ironheart, they kind of show her kind of being strung along for like some sort of like heist or something like that. Yeah. It'd be kind of cool if maybe like while the Sanctum was unguarded, they set up like a Disney Plus show where like somebody within New York like snuck into the Sanctum and like stole something.
I'm gonna stop you because you're onto something here, because the villain of Ironheart is Red Hood, who's a magical hood. Like that's demon possessed.
Maybe I am. Yeah. Maybe I have stumbled across the plot line in Ironheart.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, obviously they planned that like 3 years ago when they filmed that, but like if he got the Red Hood from the Sanctum, like because he heisted it and it wasn't as protected. I'm not sure, like, when they say the Sanctum's unguarded, does that mean it's fallen? Does that mean, like maybe like they become more militant, or like they've changed how they've operated without like the Sorcerer Supreme, to protect it? What has Doctor Strange been off doing with Clea in the dark and the other multiverses, like stopping incursions? Is he gonna come back like a weathered person as well? Like, I've seen some things, we've done some things we're not proud of, kind of thing. So I'm interested to see. Hopefully, he doesn't come back as clean cut as he ended, because I think a rugged Doctor Strange. I caught the intro to Multiverse of Madness right when he's like protecting America Chavez. I'm like, give me some rugged, powerful Strange, like who can do awesome spells along the way. So I'm excited to see that. So glad. Good idea, Mike, about the Red Hood. Moving on into Loki. Apparently this rumor is that the TVA is not as powerful as we've been led to believe in the MCU, and but don't count it out completely, because it will be a central location in the upcoming Avengers movies. And I think we talked about several months ago that the Loki and his Yggdrasil tree are probably like MacGuffins for like at least the first movie, right? Doom wants to control the timeline, control the multiverses, and then he might be after the time tree at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's the best MacGuffin that Marvel's probably ever made because they used 2 seasons of a TV show and a great emotional arc from villain to hero to sacrifice to set it up. So I mean, it's probably more successful than the Infinity Stones have ever been from a MacGuffin point of view.
Yeah.
The Infinity Stones were a fun treasure hunt for sure that spanned a couple movies, but yeah, I hope I think they understand how much storytelling juice that they have from this Loki show and storyline, and it seems like they're taking it seriously and they're going to do something cool with it.
And I think it was set up even to do that before the Jonathan Majors incident where we lost Kang, right? Like it feels like Kang was going to like know of this time tree and try to get his hands on it. And now that, obviously that's out, they can just swap it to Doom kind of along the way and do that. So I'm excited to see that. I like the, again, our entire show visual on YouTube is based on the TVA monitors. Deadpool leaned back into the TVA recently with this movie. So I think there's a lot of fun, retro futuristic styles, but also cool locations, things that they can do from the TVA with their little teleporty boxes and doors. So we'll keep you guys posted if we hear anything more on the TVA. I'm excited for Daredevil. I was talking to someone today about Daredevil season 2 Daredevil coming out next year, and it's not season 2; it's a season 1 still was released by Marvel, and it's a very low res thing from the trailer that kind of came out D23. But we get to see Matt Murdock's his Daredevil in his new suit, if you will, the red suit. But I love those finer details about this, like the background. Right, he's on a rooftop. He is in New York. You see the New York skyline, the city skyline behind it. That is some really cool atmosphere for Daredevil. We've seen him in hallways. We've seen him in alleys. This is where I want to see Daredevil.
Yeah, he seems a little bit more alive. And, even though the Netflix shows were incredibly well produced and designed, you still have budget restraints. And that's probably why he ends up in a lot of hallways as opposed to literally swinging from roof to roof, which is kind of how you see him interpreted in the comic books most of the time with his awesome sticks, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the idea of like this. Also, probably people that live in Manhattan are like, that's not how it looks. Like, I don't care how it looks. I want the comic book version of Manhattan up on the roofs. So yeah, the image is a little low res, but it has a lot to promise out there.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like he's in a city with life, right? Rather than I guess everything's underground and hidden. Like, yeah, we can be on the rooftops. We're doing vigilante shit on the rooftops, kind of thing. Because obviously the Punisher is coming in this. We have Wilson Fisk is probably coming in as mayor. Muse, I don't even know how Muse is going to tie into this as a villain. We saw Bullseye return from Daredevil season 3. I still need to watch season 3 along the way. So I'm excited for this. I think I can actually make this image better looking at the URL. I'm like, oh, there's some quality things here, but if I can update it beforehand, you take a look at it. But I'm very excited for Daredevil to drop in April. We've got a very jam-packed year for Marvel / Disney as well in 2025, catching up from all the post writer strike stuff last year, right? All the productions that were paused are now coming out, so we're gonna get to see some really good stuff come out of that. Moving on to What If. Mike teased this earlier in the episode with the huge list of names for What If season 3. And that's perfectly fine. Because I did look in this, Mike. What If is confirmed to be doing 8 daily drops for the show starting December 22nd. So they're going to do what they did last holiday season and drop them daily along the way. I've not heard any word of a Christmas specific episode. But this will give us some little bite-sized 30-minute things to do a day over the holidays. I know you're traveling, so you might not get to catch them live, but they're a quick binge, right, when it's all wrapped up. And this is the final season, so I think it's going to pay off, too.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe the show creators knew that this was going to be the final season before they started, pitching episodes. Because I'd love it to all coalesce at the end. Because I've stated before, the What If is not as interesting to me if it doesn't kind of all come together in the end for some sort of event. And what happened in season 2 at the end? I don't even remember. What was the unifying glue?
Well, the Doctor Strange came back and he was trying to get into the other room that had extra portals with everything connected to it.
Oh
Remember?
yeah. I remember. It was like that. It was like that tall cave or something.
Yeah, and they were doing magic inside of the this big open room.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I would hope we end up with something like that at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you to confirm you, their next note is season 3 will have an important setup that will come into play later on in the Avengers films, Doomsday / Secret Wars. So the expectations I have, like, obviously Uatu the Watcher, voiced by Jeffrey
Right?
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright.
Is it right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right with Wright. Captain Carter, obviously Haley Atwell returning, voicing Peggy Carter well beyond 2011's Captain America. Great for her. And then Kahori, the Native American character, who has a whole episode or is returning in season 3 here. Huge success, right? A lot of people loved her. Got her because they're on comic books now. So she may be getting a real life version, possibly down the road. I also wouldn't be surprised if they lean into how the Spider-Verse did it. Remember how they had live action in the animation and vice versa? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, maybe they could bring some animated characters in. I wouldn't want to see a prolonged experience, but like a couple cameos with animated characters in Battle World or like Secret Wars would be interesting to see. That, yes, visually things can be different in the MCU as well. But the voice cast announced here, confirming returning characters and new appearances. I'm not going to go through this list, Mike, but we obviously have some fun bits. Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness, Seth Green as Howard the Duck, as we saw in the trailer from last week, right? Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Thank God, he's still recovering in my mind from Secret Invasion. And needs to do that. Michael Rooker as Yondu. Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark. We haven't seen him in that role in a very long time. What was it? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Captain Carter TV show. Walton Goggins as Sonny Birch from Ant-Man and the Wasp. What a deep cut character that they need to bring back. And so on and so forth. But the thing I'm going to draw out here is, Mike, I'm highlighting this so you can see it, is Ross Marquand, who was the voice of Red Skull actually in not Infinity War, Endgame. I guess Infinity War and Endgame. Who also voiced Infinity Ultron, who has voiced Professor X in this, Apocalypse, and Doctor Doom in this upcoming season, Mike. 3 characters I never thought we would get in an MCU show outside of like their and
X-Men
also
shows. Like right above it looks like we're gonna have Storm as well. So
we talked about last week. Did you see the trailer with her where she has Mjolnir?
It's just so strange that like we're like they're kind of soft launching X-Men in a way, but not making a big deal out of it. But at some point they're gonna have to make a big deal out of it. But I guess if you're in this what if playground where multiverses exist, mutants can kind of be out there.
And it's animated, so pulling the X-Men 97 over is probably a little easier because he was in and I said this the Genosha episode of X-Men, right? Remember he was in the stars before they did all the massacring of the mutants. So he does have some of that. So it's fun to see. Obviously, the X-Men, Professor X, Doctor Doom. I wonder how they're going to pull. This would be the first MCU Doctor Doom as well. So how are they going to pull that in? Is it going to be a Tony Stark, lookalike? Is that why they announced him early, so they have him in this? And then the most obscure character, Beerbot 5000, is going to be in the show as well, Mike. So place your bets down what Beerbot 5000 will be doing, and where were the other 4,999 Beerbots? So this is cool. You guys check out this list. I'm excited for What If Season 3, Mike. I'm not glad it's ending, but I'm glad that they know that Season 3 is the ending and they're going to be wrapping it up for us rather than just like, we canceled it out of nowhere kind of thing. So love that bit. The one bit of news that who is not in What If Season 3 but will be in Marvel Zombies is Elizabeth Olsen will return to voice the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, in Marvel Zombies. She is not on the cast list for What If Season 3 though. So that's fun. I'm excited for Marvel Zombies. Did you catch any of that footage from the Disney trailer, D23 trailer?
I caught a little bit of it. I'm curious if this will be our only outing for Marvel Zombies, just this one season. It kind of seems like they're kind of bringing in this like, okay, this experiment was cool, but didn't quite pop off maybe as much as we wanted it to. Now X-Men 97 over here is doing some streaming numbers, so now let's lean into this. But you know, they have the animation studio propped up. It's going. It's a thing. So now maybe that's where the resources go. Let's get the Spider-Man 90s going thing. You know, maybe the Iron Man. Maybe that's how they bring kind of Iron Man back onto Disney Plus instead of trying to figure out how to get this legacy character existing within the MCU again. Just do an animated version of him.
Well, I think Marvel Zombies, one thing, it's been too long since What If Season 1 to Marvel Zombies, right? Like, I get the excitement, but they're going to do this as 4 episodes. So there could be popularity. I don't want to say, no, it's not going to, gain traction and do numbers. It absolutely could when it comes out next year. But what I noticed was I was looking up images for the show, and I was like, okay, Marvel Zombies. The original Marvel Zombies, all the zombies had yellow eyes. All the zombies in the new show have red eyes, and I know if maybe they're being controlled by a zombie Scarlet Witch.
Probably.
Because the one image shows Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, right? We saw that, I think, at the end teasing at the end of Marvel Zombies, and then they brought it back for this. So they're going to be looking to bring some of those characters. But I always complain about What If Season 1 was like, they didn't change a whole lot. They didn't have a lot of new characters. They weren't taking risks. So hopefully they do that with Marvel Zombies and really, break the mold, because all these characters are mostly dead. All the superheroes are dead. Like, you have some fun with this stuff. And we do know that Mahershala Ali will be returning in that as Blade / Moon Knight. So interested in that. But yes, Elizabeth Olsen coming back to Marvel, at least to keep voicing some stuff in these shows. We're going to keep moving through this Avengers saga here. This is the last kind of like looking forward in this saga is Avengers Secret Wars. Is that the rumors the Council of Reeds will appear and make up with previous actors and new ones, so including previous Mr. Fantastics Ian Grufford, Miles Teller, Alex Hyde White from the non-released 1994 Fantastic Four, John Krasinski, and for some reason Adam Driver as Reed Richards. I didn't realize that the rumor that the Council of Reeds would show up, and everyone's familiar with the Council of Kangs now. Everyone's familiar with the Council of Ricks from Rick and Morty. Fantastic Four did it first years ago with the Council of Reeds, and I would love to see this be something in this.
Even the Flash CW TV show did a council of I can't even remember the character's name.
Arrows?
It was the actor. No, not Arrows. They did a council of, I can't think of he played the yellow Flash, the Reverse Flash. In one of the seasons.
Eobard Thawne, Council of Thawnes.
Yeah, maybe, or I don't know. But there was definitely a council going on in there. So this is an idea that audiences are not going to be surprised by, but will accept wholeheartedly because they've seen it at other places.
And I think people, very positive on John Krasinski's very, very slim role as Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange, right? Having Adam Driver would be interesting. Like, the more actors they can get to play Council Reeds, that's what people are gonna do. They're gonna be sitting there doing the meme from with Leonardo DiCaprio, right, where they're leaning forward, pointing at the screen. Oh my God, I know him. And I think that'll be really fun to pull some of these deep cuts into Secret Wars, which I think will just be, hey, here's some really fun references. We know you've watched Marvel movies over the past 50 years, kind of thing. So this is fine. I think it's great. Let's see what they do and how do they do the Council Reads, because some of the reads were really cool. Like, some of the reads in the comic books, like, we have the Infinity Gauntlet and we do good things with the Infinity Gauntlet. Our world is better because we've all come together and pooled our ideas together and made our universes better. So I'd be interested to see where some of these come from and what they do with that. The artwork I did pull up showed Miles Teller as like the Maker version of Reed Richards, because like obviously that movie is a little darker, little thing. Like he didn't become a good Reed. He eventually became a bad Reed over time, if you will. So that'd be interesting. And then the other bit of news for the Secret Wars is that Nicolas Cage is in active talks to reprise Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze role from his previous 2 films. In case people didn't know, he was actually in the original Deadpool Wolverine drafts and concept art. You can find concept art of his Ghost Rider fighting alongside Gambit, Blade, Deadpool Wolverine at that final scene there at the Ant-Man skull. So that was cool. They almost got him, but he's out doing Spider-Man stuff right now, Mike. So they need to let Nicolas Cage finish Spider-Man, and then bring him back in as Ghost Rider for that. Did you ever watch the second one, the Spirit of Vengeance?
No, honestly, Ghost Rider is a bit of a spot, a little hole in my Marvel watching window. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll watch them.
Yeah, I think these are your workout movies, Mike. I would highly recommend your next workout movies be Ghost Rider 1 and 2. Idris Elba's even in the second one if you wanted to. So,
ooh.
And then what's oh my gosh, Sam something, the guy with the big mustache who always plays like a Western dude. He's in the first one as like a historical Ghost Rider, like one of like from like the Old West kind of thing. So highly recommend them for just a pastime. So sounds like Secret Wars is pulling out all of the stops, throwing all of the dollars at these actors, Mike, to do this. Or guess what? They're lying to us, and we're not going to get all these. They're just throwing rumors out to throw people off because Marvel is known to lie in their trailers. They are known to lie about their scripts. I was looking at some footage the other day from Just Jared, right? The photo scooping website from Infinity War, where they were filming scenes with Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, like Paul Rudd and Benedict Cumberbatch, that they never interacted in the movies. They were like on the streets of like New York. I'm like, this is wild. Like they filmed all this stuff and then they just never used it because it was to throw people off. So wild. Last bit of news here, in case people didn't know, again, Gladiator 2 is out in theaters after like 20-something years since the last one came out. Denzel Washington plays a big role in that. He's out doing interviews, and he says, very off the cuff, matter of factly, that Ryan Coogler has written him a role in Black Panther 3. This movie's not even announced, but if you're looking to bring in again some African American actors to Black Panther 3, you want a big name. Denzel Washington is he's up there, right? Like he's done a lot of action movies.
Denzel's he is kind of one of those legacy actors from a time when Hollywood was driven by celebrity, right? Like he is in the same echelon as like a Tom Cruise or like I guess like a Tom Hanks, any of the other Toms, right? Like he is like a name. Like you put him in a movie, it is going to make its money back, at the box office, no matter what. He is that kind of driver. So I love the idea of him being in Black Panther 3 because he's not going to be getting some little role. Like he's either going to be the villain or he's going to be like the hero or some like new like Marvel hero we've never heard of before.
Well, he could even be like, we have the queen, right? And we don't have a king. So like, is he like another? He's gonna have a drama scene somehow. He's been in a lot of dramatic movies. He's been in a lot of action movies, but like he's gonna bring intensity to it. So like, is he like some sort of Wakandan like royalty from like another tribe or something like that? Like what's he gonna play? He's like you said, he's not a cameo. He's not a blink and miss it in credits person. He is going to have some very dramatic scenes in this because he does so well with that stuff along the way. I was looking up and I was like, I remember him playing, obviously the Equalizer trilogy. What was it? Where he was like, it was Malcolm X, but like, what was the one where he was like, is it Training Day? I think he's in Training Day as well.
Yeah,
right?
That's kind of his most prolific, film out there.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of good stuff. I pulled it up to kind of look back there. Malcolm X was 92. Like it doesn't feel like it was 92, but like he's been around since the 80s. So that's awesome, right? So my guess is Black Panther 3 will come out. It will skip the multiversal saga and just come out and probably deal with the son of the Black Panther, right? Like who we met in Wakanda Forever, and maybe is he old
will
enough?
Be the Maybe he will play the titular Piccolo role
to
whatever the new Black Panther's Gohan will be.
Yeah.
So that's the relationship I'm looking for.
Maybe he's one of those spirit like the spirits of the ancestors of Wakanda. Like maybe he's like a classic one who is talking to the younger kid. Like, here's what you have to do. Because I don't think, obviously we lost Chadwick Boseman. I think the person who played his dad has also passed away as well. So, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of scenes, a lot of opportunities. So that's great to kind of know that Black Panther 3 is on the horizon, and they are working towards it to wrap up that trilogy. Mike, speaking of wrapping up things, this is the end of the show. That's the last bit of news we got. I mean, we are just doing another episode. 500 next week's 501, and then I think we're gonna look at our Christmas holiday schedule coming up. Take some time off for that, but this has been a good episode. Thank you for tuning in.
500 more, baby. I think we got another decade in us at least. It's crazy to think that like 10 years is so far off, but I'm sure that there's a target date over somewhere at one of these studios for 2034 for like, I think we're going to put Fantastic Four like 3 out in like 2034. I think that's when we're going to hit that date. It's like, it's nuts that they already have that probably planned.
Oh yeah, I mean, we talked about we had like a couple weeks ago. We added the 2028 dates for Marvel movies, but no titles yet, kind of thing. And then Avatar has like through 2031 at this rate. So, we've got some movies coming down the road. But if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, they can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com and liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you. Where are you?
On Instagram, Valdan87, Valdan, or Video Game Systems of the same name. I will give a shout out to friend of the show and listener, co-creator of Comic UI, Brian. He has been working on revitalizing the site after it's been down for some time. And he did bring up, showed me yesterday when we did the history of the Star Wars facts that we did in like 2015, that you and I I came up with the facts and you animated it. I was like, I don't even remember doing this in 2015. So he was able to share that over to me, and I think I might go back and share. We did remember the history of Marvel Studios before we did the podcast. We've done some really cool things over the last 10 years, and I think for our 10-year anniversary, I might pull some highlights from that. So that was really fun. But if people want to know more about the show, where we're coming, we are every week, including this week, where can they find all them goodies at?
Yes, if you want to enter that contest for the Marvel, what is it?
Marvel United.
United. I was almost saying Unlimited. I was like, no, that's the video game. That doesn't.
No. That's actually the comic books. Marvel Unlimited is the comic book.
Oh, yeah. But you can find us at superheroslate.com. That's the URL that we've owned for over a decade now. So hopefully we got some domain authority for owning that domain for a decade. So superheroslate.com. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to podcasts. I think Spotify Wrapped is coming up soon-ish. Oh. If we show up in your Spotify Wrapped as one of your most listened podcasts, take a screenshot. Let us know. I love seeing that. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Another plug. Reach out. Let us know if you want to win that thing. And Chris will send you the game. It'll be great. Great fun times. Get that sweet, sweet engagement bait.
That's right.
And as I've been saying for like 10 years now, we love our super fans. And if you want to be a super fan, it's so easy to do. All you have to do is share this show with a friend, share this show with a buddy, and you will be confident in knowing that we are consistently always here ready to entertain you and record every weekend. So, all right, I guess we'll just ceremoniously leave it at that. 500 episodes, Chris.
500. And like you said, here's to 500 more, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, boy. Bye.